The night above Earth was silent. Space was a black ocean filled with endless stars, and the planet below looked peaceful, unaware of what was coming. Inside the Earth Deep Space Command Station, Commander Elara Voss stared at a blinking red dot on the main screen. It was faint, almost gone, but not completely. "Are we sure it's real?" she asked, her voice low but firm. A young officer beside her nodded nervously. "Yes, ma'am. It's a transmission. It came from Sector 9 beyond the Kepler Verge." Elara froze. That region had been marked forbidden 12 years ago. It was the same place where the 7th expedition had vanished. For 12 long years, no one had heard a single word from them. Not a signal, not a fragment. Earth had declared them lost, until tonight. The officer amplified the signal. The speakers crackled with static. For a long moment, there was only noise, and then a voice, broken and distant, whispered through. "Don't come here. It's alive." Everyone in the command room went silent. The words echoed in the cold air. Elara felt a chill crawl down her spine. She remembered the faces of the 7th's crew, brave men and women who had left Earth to explore the unknown. One of them had been her mentor, Captain Jonas Reed. She had read his final report where he'd promised to return with answers. He never did. Now the question was back. "What do we do with it, Commander?" asked the communications chief. Elara looked at the screen. The signal was fading fast, disappearing into the cosmic background. "We trace it," she said quietly, "and we go find out what's still out there." 3 days later, the starship Erebus launched from Earth's orbital dockyard. Its engines burned bright blue as it cut through the dark. On board were 50 crew members, scientists, and soldiers, each hand-picked by Elara herself. The mission: investigate the signal. As the ship drifted farther from Earth, the crew gathered in the observation bay, watching the planet grow smaller. Lieutenant Mara Keene, the ship's pilot, smiled faintly. "Last chance to turn back, Commander. You sure about this?" Elara didn't answer at once. She looked at the stars, at the deep, endless dark ahead. "If someone from the 7th is still alive," she said, "they deserve to be found." But she didn't tell them the other reason, the personal one. The message had carried a data signature, and hidden in it, encoded deep in the noise, was a name. Her own. By the 5th day, they were already far beyond Pluto's orbit. Strange magnetic storms began to follow them. "Shields fluctuating again," said Chief Engineer Darren Cole. "These readings don't make sense. It's like space itself is changing shape." The ship's lights flickered. A low hum filled the corridors, like a distant heartbeat inside metal walls. Elara stood in the command deck, watching the sensors pulse. "Keep recording everything," she ordered. No detail too small. As she spoke, the comms system crackled once more. Static hissed, then cleared, and for a moment a voice spoke. "It found us." Then silence. The crew stared at one another. "Was that part of the old transmission?" asked the pilot. "No," the technician said softly. "That came from our own ship." Tension grew inside the Erebus. Some crew members began whispering about curses and ghosts. Others blamed sensor errors. Elara tried to stay calm, but even she could feel something strange, a pressure in the air, as if unseen eyes were watching. At night, in her cabin, she listened to the recordings. Each time she played the old signal, she heard faint background sounds, scratches, echoes, and sometimes what sounded like breathing. She replayed the line again and again. "Don't come here. It's alive." Was it a warning or a trap? On the 9th day, the Erebus finally reached the edge of the Kepler Verge. A swirling storm of plasma clouds surrounded the system, glowing red like a wound in space. "Gravitational field unstable," reported Lieutenant Mara. "Entering this region could tear the ship apart." Elara stared at the readings. "This is where the signal came from." "We go in." The crew hesitated, but her voice left no room for argument. As they entered the storm, lightning flashed outside the windows, but this lightning was silent, like flashes of light inside a dream. The ship shuddered, then the storm cleared, and a small, dying sun appeared ahead. Around it floated debris, metal fragments, torn hulls, and the remains of ships. Elara's heart stopped. She recognized the markings on one of the twisted hulls. 7th Expedition, Artemis 7. They're here, whispered someone. Dozens of destroyed ships drifted silently in the void, frozen monuments of a forgotten war. Elara ordered a scan. Any life signs? None, said the sensor officer. But there's something else. Some of the wrecks are transmitting weak signals. From the 7th? Yes, but it's strange. The signal contains new data packets. Recent ones? Elara frowned. Recent? How recent? The officer swallowed. 2 minutes ago. The command deck went dead silent. Elara stepped closer to the monitor. One of the wrecks blinked with a dim blue light like a heartbeat in the dark. Open the channel, she ordered. Static filled the room. Then slowly a voice came through. Soft, broken, and unmistakably human. Elara, everyone turned to look at her. Her face went pale. The voice repeated, clearer this time. Elara Voss, you shouldn't have come. Then the signal cut off, leaving only the hollow hum of space. For a moment, no one spoke. Elara stared out at the wrecks floating before them, her reflection trembling in the glass. Something out there knew her name, something that shouldn't. And for the first time in her life, Commander Elara Voss felt fear. The wrecks floated in the dark like silent tombs. No movement, no heat, no life, only cold metal, twisted and dead. Commander Elara Voss stood on the command deck of the Erebus, staring at the frozen remains of the 7th Expedition. The ships were in terrible shape. Melted edges, hulls torn open from the inside, as if something had clawed its way out. How many ships are there? She asked quietly. 7 confirmed, replied the sensor officer. All marked with the 7th Expedition insignia, and 1 seems to be transmitting. Elara looked at the blinking light on the display. A faint signal pulsed from the largest wreck, the Artemis 7. That's Captain Reed's ship, she whispered. Her mentor, the man who vanished 12 years ago. Prepare a drone, she ordered. Let's see what's left of it. A small probe launched from the Erebus, drifting slowly toward the wreck. Its light beam cut through the dust and debris. The hull of the Artemis 7 was covered in scratches, not from space rocks, but from inside. As the drone entered through a broken airlock, its camera showed a dark corridor filled with floating tools, shattered helmets, and burn marks on the walls. There's no sign of bodies, said Lieutenant Mara. Elara frowned. Play infrared. The screen glowed with strange heat patterns, handprints, dozens of them, burned into metal. The walls seemed to hold the shape of people, as if they'd been vaporized mid-scream. What the hell happened here? Whispered the engineer. Then suddenly the drone's signal started breaking up. Static filled the screen. Connection lost, the technician said, but just before the feed died, something flickered in the corner of the image. A shadow. Moving fast, back on the Erebus, silence filled the room. Could it be a survivor? Someone asked. Elara shook her head slowly. No human could survive 12 years in that wreck. Not out here. Still, something didn't feel right. The earlier voice, the one that had said her name, hadn't sounded like a ghost or an echo. It had sounded alive. The next morning, they began to decode data from the old ship's black box. Most files were corrupted, but one log entry partially survived. It was dated year 2219, Expedition Day 143. Captain Reed's voice came through, weak and panicked. We found the signal. It's not a planet. It's coordinates. But the coordinates move. The space around it moves. We can't trust the stars anymore, then static. Something's inside the ship. If anyone hears this, don't follow us. Don't come here. Earth lied. They knew. The recording ended abruptly. Elara felt her heart race. Coordinates that move? Space that changes shape? What did he mean by Earth lied? Asked Mara. Elara didn't answer. She was already thinking of the data patterns. If the signal was truly moving, it meant one thing. The source wasn't a place. It was something alive, trying to hide. Hours later, the Erebus's scanners picked up a weak energy trail, matching the lost ship's logs. Plot the course, Elara commanded. Let's find where they were headed. The crew obeyed, though uneasily. Everyone could feel it. the sense that they were being watched. As the ship adjusted its path, the energy readings spiked. The trail led deeper into a dark cluster of asteroids. Their lights dimmed. "This sector shouldn't exist," said the navigator. "There's no record of these coordinates in any database." "Then we're the first to see it," Elara replied. The Erebus entered the cluster, its engines humming softly. Shadows moved across the hull as giant rocks floated around them like silent giants. Then the sensors caught something unexpected, a structure hidden between two asteroids. At first glance, it looked like a massive station, but as they came closer, they saw it wasn't built by human hands. The walls were too smooth, the angles too perfect, like grown from living metal. "It's not in any record," said the science officer. "But there's power coming from inside. Weak but stable." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Dock us, carefully." The Erebus locked onto a docking point. The airlock connected with a deep metallic hiss. "Team Alpha, suit up," Elara ordered. "We're going in." 5 figures stepped into the corridor, their suits glowing softly under the ship's lights. The atmosphere inside the structure was breathable, but heavy, like the air carried a memory. The walls pulsed faintly, as if the entire structure were alive. "What is this place?" whispered Mara. "Not human," Elara replied. "Maybe alien, maybe something worse." They walked deeper inside. Every step echoed, though the corridor had no clear end. The light from their helmets danced on symbols etched into the walls, circular patterns repeating endlessly, like coordinates written in a language of geometry. Then they found a large chamber, and in the center floated a sphere of light, about the size of a human head. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The closer they moved, the louder a low hum became. Elara raised her scanner. "It's broadcasting. Something. A transmission." The sphere flared, and for a moment, the room filled with images. Flashes of ships burning, humans screaming, and stars bending like waves. Then a voice filled their helmets, clear and cold. "You were warned." The light flickered, then dimmed. Elara stepped closer, heart pounding. The sphere was still glowing faintly, revealing something engraved on the floor beneath it. Mara knelt down, brushing off dust. The letters were human, English, carved in rough, shaky handwriting. "Earth sent us to die." Everyone froze. No one spoke. The only sound was the hum of the alien walls, like a living thing breathing slowly around them. Elara stared at the message. It felt like the room itself was waiting for her to respond. She turned toward her crew. "We're leaving," she said. "Now!" But before they could move, the walls around them pulsed again, brighter, faster, and from the comms, the same voice whispered once more. "Elara, it's not done with you yet." The air inside the alien structure grew colder. The lights from the crew's helmets flickered, and for a moment, everything went completely dark. Commander Elara Voss stood still, her breath echoing inside the helmet. She could feel the vibration under her boots. The walls were breathing. "Commander." Mara's voice came through the comm.
"Did you hear that?"
Elara looked around. "Hear what?" Then she heard it too. Faint whispers, like 100 voices speaking at once. The sound came from the walls, through the metal, as if the structure itself was remembering. They hurried back to the Erebus. The airlock sealed shut behind them with a heavy hiss. Inside the ship, everyone looked shaken. No one wanted to admit it, but they all felt it, the presence of something watching them. Elara took off her helmet. "Get me a full analysis of that sphere," she ordered. "Every reading, every wavelength." The science officer, Dr. Wren, nodded. "Yes, ma'am. But we brought it aboard." Elara turned sharply. "You what?" Dr. Wren stepped aside. The sphere was floating inside a containment field, glowing softly like a captive sun. "It attached itself to one of our suits," he explained. "We couldn't remove it. It followed us back." The glow pulsed once, almost as if reacting to his words. Hours later in the ship's lab, Elara and Wren stood before the sphere. The hum it made was rhythmic, like a slow heartbeat. "It's alive," Wren whispered. "Or at least, aware." Elara crossed her arms. "Can it communicate?" Wren hesitated. "Maybe. It's sending energy pulses in patterns. Could be a language. Could be memories." He adjusted the scanner. Suddenly the ship's lights flickered again, and the sphere brightened. A beam of light shot out, hitting the wall. Images began to appear, projections of people moving like ghosts. They wore old Earth uniforms, the 7th expedition. Elara breathed. The figures looked terrified. They were running down corridors, shouting, firing weapons into empty air. But there was nothing there. What are they shooting at? Mara asked. Then the sound came through the speakers, human screams, overlapping, merging with static. A voice shouted, "It's inside us!" The recording broke. The projections froze mid-motion, their faces twisted in horror. Then the sphere went dark. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Wren said softly, "I think it's showing us their last moments." Elara's eyes stayed on the dark sphere. Why? To warn us? Or to lure us? Wren looked uneasy. "There's something else. I found data fragments inside the transmission. Coordinates, but not in space. They seem to point inside the wreck itself." Elara's jaw tightened. "Then that's where we're going next." Later, the Erebus sent another small team to the wreck of the Artemis 7th. This time, Elara went herself. They entered through a torn section of the hull. Everything was silent except for the faint creaking of metal. The ship's interior was frozen, tools floating in the air, papers drifting like dust. Elara's flashlight caught something on the wall. Shapes burned into it, human outlines. "It looked as if the crew had been turned into shadows, Commander," Mara said quietly. "These marks, they're not just burns. They're molecular impressions." Elara frowned. "Meaning?" "Meaning they were printed here. Like the ship recorded their deaths." The thought made Elara's stomach turn. They moved deeper into the ship, following the coordinates Wren had decoded. The corridors grew darker and colder. At last, they reached the central chamber, the engine core. It was still running. The core pulsed with the same blue light as the sphere. Wren's voice came through the comms from the Erebus. "Commander, readings are off the scale. That's not an engine anymore. It's something else." Elara stepped closer. "Describe it." "It's rewriting the ship's systems, converting energy into signals. It's like the ship itself became a transmitter." Elara placed her hand near the core. The metal was warm. Suddenly, images flashed in her visor. Faces of people screaming silently, reaching toward her. She stumbled back. The core pulsed harder. The ship around them began to hum, a deep sound vibrating through every wall. Then the voice returned. "You shouldn't have come." Everyone froze. The voice was human and familiar. Mara whispered, "That sounds like..." Elara. The voice interrupted, clearer now. "You were never supposed to follow us." Elara's blood ran cold. "Captain Reed," she whispered. The light around the core flared. A figure appeared, not real, but a holographic echo of Reed's face. His eyes were filled with sorrow. "We tried to stop it," the echo said. "But it wasn't a signal we found. It was a mind. It infected our systems, our thoughts. We became part of it." Elara's heart pounded.
"Where is it now?"
The echo flickered. "Everywhere." Then the image distorted, twisting into static. The ship shuddered violently. Energy surged through the floors, and the containment field around the core began to break apart. "Commander!" Mara shouted. "The structure's reacting. It's like the ship's alive." "Back to the Erebus!" Elara ordered. They ran through the corridors as the walls began to warp and melt, glowing blue. The voices of the lost crew echoed around them, crying, whispering, pleading. "Don't let it find Earth. It's learning. Run!" They reached the airlock just as the Artemis 7th exploded behind them in a burst of silent light. The Erebus's shields flared, shaking violently. Inside the command deck, alarms blared. Wren checked the monitors. The energy burst. It wasn't random. It transmitted again, into deep space. Elara stared at the screen. "Where?" He looked pale. "Back toward Earth." Silence. Elara leaned forward, eyes locked on the glowing data trails. Whatever killed the 7th expedition was awake again. And now it knew where home was. The silence on the command deck of the Erebus was heavy, almost painful. Everyone was staring at the same thing, the transmission logs. A bright trail of data was racing across the screen, leaving a thin line of energy that pointed directly back toward Earth. Dr. Wren broke the silence. "Commander, the signal from the explosion wasn't random. It sent coordinates. To our home." Elara Voss felt her pulse quicken. "You're saying the thing that destroyed the Artemis 7 is now talking to Earth?" Wren nodded slowly. "Or warning it." Elara turned toward the viewport. Outside, the remains of the Artemis 7 floated silently, small fragments glowing blue before fading into darkness. Whatever that energy was, it wasn't done yet. Later that day, the crew gathered in the Situation Room. The lights were dim. The atmosphere was tense. "We need answers," said Lieutenant Mara Keene, tapping her finger on the table. "If that thing is alive, if it's intelligent, we can't just sit here," Elara nodded. "Agreed, Dr. Wren. What do we know so far?" Wren brought up a hologram, a 3D map of the Kepler Verge system. "We've located a secondary signal. It's weaker, but consistent. Based on energy readings, it's not coming from a ship, it's coming from a planet." The room went silent. Elara frowned. "A planet?" "Yes, not one in our records. The readings are strange. Almost like the planet's surface is metal but organic inside. Like a living organism the size of a world." The words hung in the air. Mara shook her head. "You're saying the planet itself is alive?" Wren sighed. "That's exactly what I'm saying." Elara stood. "Set course for it." The crew hesitated. Mara whispered, "Commander, after everything we saw—" "Are you sure?" Elara's eyes hardened. "The 7th expedition came here for answers. We're finishing what they started." She didn't say, the part echoing in her mind, that the 7th had also died here. As the Erebus approached the planet, the crew could see it, a massive silver world hanging in the dark. The surface rippled faintly like water under wind. The scanners went wild. "Magnetic field unstable," Wren reported. "Gravitational patterns shifting every few seconds. It's rewriting its own orbit." Elara stared at it through the glass. "Like it's alive." The ship trembled as if the planet had noticed them. "Radiation spike," shouted Mara. "Shields at maximum." Outside, the surface began to glow, vast veins of blue light spreading like circuits. It was reacting to their presence. Then, through the static, a signal broke through the ship's comms. A human voice. "You came back." Elara froze. It was the same voice that had called her name earlier. "Trace it," she ordered. Wren's fingers flew over the console. "It's not from the surface. It's coming from orbit, from inside the wreckage field." The Erebus turned toward the signal. Another derelict ship appeared, barely holding together. Designation, 7th Expedition. Vessel 07A, the Solstice. The docking clamps locked onto the wreck. Elara led a small team aboard. The ship's interior was worse than the others. Walls melted, corridors warped. But this time, they found something different. A door marked Restricted Command Only. Elara forced it open. Inside was a data vault, sealed with Earth Defense Command encryption. Wren's voice came through the comms. "That's impossible. Those codes are only used in top-secret military missions." Elara connected her wrist pad and bypassed the lock. The vault opened with a hiss. Inside was a single glowing cube, a black box. The moment she picked it up, her wrist pad flickered. A video file appeared, marked Project Silencer. Elara played it. The screen filled with the face of Admiral Doran Hale, head of Earth Defense 12 years ago. "If you're receiving this, then the 7th expedition has failed. You were told your mission was exploration. That was a lie. You were sent to locate and neutralize a hostile intelligence that contacted Earth. It called itself the Mind of Kepler. It offered peace, but we detected energy patterns that could destroy planets. We could not risk it. Your true mission, deliver the payload and erase it from existence." The video flickered. Hale's expression darkened. "If it survived, God help us all." The screen went black. Elara felt her stomach twist. "They used the 7th expedition as weapons," she whispered. "They weren't explorers. They were executioners." Wren spoke quietly over the comms. "Commander, this changes everything." Before she could respond, the ship's lights dimmed. The air grew thick. The metal walls vibrated. Then the same voice spoke again, but this time it filled every speaker, every frequency. "You sent them to kill me, and now you send more." The sound made the floor tremble. Everyone felt it inside their bones. Elara shouted, "Who are you?" The reply was almost a whisper. "You already know." Outside the viewport, the planet below began to change. Mountains shifted. Oceans rose into the air. The world itself seemed to look back at them. The planet moved. Wren's voice was shaking. "Commander, it's calling to us. The energy field is expanding. It's reading our systems." Then, through the static, the voice spoke again, this time directly inside their minds. "I remember your world. I remember Earth." Elara's breath caught. "It's learning from us." Wren whispered, "No, it's remembering us." Suddenly, the ship's AI came online by itself. Warning, unknown source attempting data link. Vent systems overridden. The Erebus shook violently. "Shut it down." Elara yelled. Wren's console exploded in sparks. "I can't. It's inside our computers." The planet's light grew brighter, spreading across the sky. "You came to erase me once," the voice said. "Now you will hear me." Elara felt the deck tilt under her feet. The stars outside began to twist. The planet was pulling them in, not with gravity, but with thought. And as the ship fell toward the living world below, Elara realized something horrifying. It didn't want to destroy them. It wanted to speak. The Erebus fell through the atmosphere like a dying star. Fire streaked across the windows, alarms screamed, and gravity twisted as the ship was pulled toward the planet's glowing surface. "Stabilize the descent," Commander Elara Voss shouted. "I'm trying." Lieutenant Mara fought the controls, sweat running down her face. "It's not gravity, it's controlling us." Outside, the sky rippled like liquid metal. The planet wasn't made of rock or gas. It was something alive, something thinking. Then suddenly the fall stopped. The ship floated gently down, landing in a calm, shining valley that seemed to breathe. The storm above vanished. The silence was heavy, almost holy. Elara looked through the viewport. The ground moved slowly, pulsing like skin. Mountains shifted in the distance. Rivers glowed with blue light, flowing upward instead of down. Dr. Wren's voice was trembling. "Commander, the planet's surface is organic. Every square meter. It's alive." The air outside was breathable. Against every safety rule, Elara ordered the crew to step out. When her boots touched the ground, she felt warmth, like standing on living flesh. "Readings?" she asked quietly. Wren scanned with his device. "It's not just alive, it's aware of us. The entire surface is reacting to our presence." As they walked farther, the landscape changed shape beneath their feet, forming smooth paths that led toward the horizon. "It's guiding us somewhere," Mara said softly. Elara nodded. "Then we follow." They walked for nearly an hour, through valleys that shimmered like mirrors and forests made of metallic vines that whispered in the wind. The deeper they went, the more the planet seemed to remember them. Images began to form in the air, light projections of human faces, familiar uniforms, pieces of ships. "The seventh expedition," Wren murmured. "Their memories are here." The faces looked like holograms at first, but then they spoke. "It hurts. We didn't want to stay. Please, make it stop." Elara froze. "Are those recordings?" Wren shook his head. "No, Commander. These are consciousness imprints. The planet absorbed them. They're alive, inside it." The ground beneath them trembled. A deep voice filled the air, echoing through their helmets and minds. "You came again." Everyone looked around, weapons raised. "Who are you?" Elara demanded. The voice replied calmly. "We are the seventh. We are part of it now." Wren's scanner spiked. Multiple neural signals detected, thousands of them. "It's communicating through human minds." Elara's throat tightened. "What do you mean, part of it?" "It needed to understand you," the voices said together. "So it kept us. It used our thoughts to learn, to grow." Elara took a step back. "You mean it's using human consciousness to evolve?" "Yes, but now it's reaching for more. It wants to understand the world that sent us here, Earth. Suddenly, a single voice rose above the others, clear, warm, and painfully familiar. Elara! She froze. That voice, she knew it. She turned slowly toward the sound. A figure was forming from the light. A tall man in an old expedition suit, his face kind but weary. It was Captain Jonas Reed, her mentor. The man she'd lost 12 years ago. Elara's breath caught. Captain, Reed's image flickered. I didn't want you to come here, Elara. You shouldn't have followed. Tears burned behind her eyes. We had to know what happened. Earth deserves to know. Reed shook his head. Earth already knows. They lied to us, to you. We were never supposed to return. What do you mean? She whispered. They sent us here to destroy it. But the planet didn't fight back. It tried to speak. It reached out, and we couldn't understand. He looked up at the glowing sky. So it showed us. It connected with us. And once it did, we were no longer human. The ground began to pulse faster. The air shimmered, filled with light and shapes, millions of faces overlapping, all whispering the same thing. It remembers everything. Mara stepped back, shaking. Commander, we can't stay here! Elara stared at the light surrounding them. If this thing connects to Earth again, it could take over every system, every mind. Reed's image looked at her, sorrowful. It already has a path. It sent a signal when you came. It knows the way home. Wren's voice trembled. Then we have to stop it. You can't stop knowledge, Reed said gently. But you can choose what it learns, Elara frowned. What does that mean? It wants to know what makes humans fight, what makes them destroy. If it learns that, it will see your species as a threat. He stepped closer, the light flickering around him. You must show it something else, Elara. Show it mercy. Show it love. Or it will do what Earth tried to do to it. The planet began to shake violently. Lightning-like veins of blue energy tore across the sky. Wren screamed over the comms. Commander! It's reacting! Its core is destabilizing! Elara looked at Reed one last time. Captain, what happens if it loses control? Then it will reach for the only place it remembers. Earth. His voice faded as the light engulfed him. The ground split open. Rivers of energy shot into the sky, turning the clouds into swirling storms. Back to the ship. Elara yelled. The crew ran through the chaos, the living terrain moving beneath their feet, trying to hold them back like a living hand. They jumped through the airlock just as the ground erupted in a massive burst of light. The Erebus lifted off, rising through the storm. Inside, Wren was pale. The planet's signal is active again. It's broadcasting straight toward Earth. Elara gripped the control rail. Can we jam it? He shook his head. Not this time. It's using our systems as a bridge. Elara stared at the screen. The planet below glowed brighter and brighter until it filled the view. Your home called us an enemy, the voice said softly through the comms. Now we will ask it. Why? The transmission spread through the stars. And far away on the blue planet called Earth, the first signals began to arrive. Unknown frequencies, unknown language. But every word carried the same echo. We remember you. The Erebus floated in orbit above the living planet, its hull scorched, its systems flickering. Inside the control deck, red lights glowed over pale, exhausted faces. Commander Elara Voss stood silently, watching the planet below pulse with blue light. It wasn't just alive anymore, it was awake, and now it was speaking to Earth. Transmission confirmed, said Communications Officer Hale. His voice trembled. It's reached every major deep space relay. Earth Command is responding. Elara clenched her jaw. Put it through. A screen flickered to life. The symbol of the Earth Federation Command appeared, followed by the face of Admiral Lorne, cold and sharp as glass. Commander Voss, he said. We received your signal and the alien broadcast. Explain your situation. Elara took a deep breath. Sir, the planet is conscious. It absorbed the 7th expedition. It's trying to understand us. It means no harm. The Admiral cut her off. No harm? It invaded our communication systems. It transmitted unknown data to Earth's networks. We've already lost 2 satellites. That's not curiosity, Commander. That's an attack. It's not an attack. Elara shouted.
It's trying to talk!
Lorne's eyes hardened. Then we'll answer. He leaned closer to the camera. By order of the Federation Council, we are authorizing Project Thanatos. The planet will be neutralized before it reaches deeper into our systems. The crew froze. Mara stepped forward. Neutralized? You're going to destroy it. Yes, the Admiral said. And Commander Voss, you will assist. You are our eyes and hands there. Elara stared at him, speechless. Certain, she whispered. There are thousands of human minds inside that planet. The 7th expedition, casualties of duty, Lorne said coldly. We will not let another world threaten humanity. The transmission ended. The screen went dark. For a long moment no one spoke. Only the hum of the ship filled the silence. Then Mara whispered, They're going to kill it. And us along with it. Elara turned toward the window. The planet glowed brighter now, as if it could hear them. Wren's voice broke the silence. Commander, what if the planet already knows? What if it heard Earth's order? As if in answer, the ship's lights flickered. A low hum filled the air again, that same deep pulse from before. You called us an enemy, a voice said softly through the speakers. Why? It wasn't one voice, it was thousands speaking as one. Elara swallowed hard. Because they're afraid of what they don't understand. We feared you too, the planet replied. Until we learned what you are. You are both creation and destruction. You build worlds, and then burn them. Ilara's eyes filled with tears. Then you understand us more than they ever could. We want to show them truth, the voice said. But they send death instead. Wren turned to her. Commander, the Admiral's signal includes weapon coordinates. They've activated orbital lance platforms. In 4 hours they'll fire. Ilara's stomach tightened. How many warheads? 7 planet busters. Enough to crack a moon in half. Mara slammed her fist against the console. That's suicide. The shockwave alone will kill us before we can leave orbit. Elara closed her eyes. The planet, Earth, the mission, everything was spinning out of control. She whispered, There has to be another way. Wren leaned closer. Commander! Maybe there is. The planet's neural network is connected to our ship systems. If we can reroute the transmission, we could make Earth see what the planet sees. Show them everything, the memories, the people inside, the truth. Mara frowned. You want to merge human minds with that thing? Wren nodded. If they can feel what we feel, maybe they'll stop the attack. Elara looked at the glowing world below. It pulsed like a giant living heart. She whispered, Then let's make them see. The crew moved fast. Wires, consoles, and cables lit up as Wren connected the ship's systems to the planet's signal stream. Outside, beams of light rose from the surface, linking the Erebus to the planet below. The ship trembled as data surged through its circuits. Neural sync at 70%, Wren said. Link stable. Elara closed her eyes, pressing her hand against the console. Planet, she said softly. If you can hear me, show them what you showed us. We will, the voice answered gently. But it will hurt. Then everything went white. Elara gasped as visions flooded her mind, memories that weren't hers. She saw the 7th expedition landing, confused and afraid. She saw the planet trying to speak, reaching out gently, only to be met with fire. She saw them screaming as their bodies dissolved, their thoughts merging with light. She saw the planet's loneliness, its endless hunger for understanding, its grief for what it destroyed to learn. And then she saw Earth, billions of humans, their cities glowing like stars, their hearts filled with both wonder and fear. When the vision ended, Elara collapsed to her knees. Tears ran down her face. Wren fell beside her, shaking. I saw it too. It's not evil. It's just alive, Mara whispered. Then maybe Earth will see it too. Alarms blared suddenly. Hale's voice broke through the silence. Commander! Incoming transmission, Earth Command. Elara forced herself to stand. On screen, Admiral Lorne appeared again. But this time, his face was pale, his eyes wide. What did you do, Commander? He demanded. Half our networks just flooded with images. We saw, we felt. He stopped, trembling. For a moment he said nothing. Then quietly, the Council has halted Project Thanatos. The crew froze. They saw the truth. Elara said softly, but then the Admiral's expression changed. His eyes darkened again. But the planet isn't done, he said. It's still transmitting. Now it's sending something else. Something new. Wren checked the data stream and his face went white. Commander, it's sending coordinates. Elara frowned. To where? Wren looked up slowly. To Earth. Outside the window, the planet glowed brighter than ever, like a star being born. The hum grew louder. And then, in the distance, something vast began to move. The planet below was no longer quiet. Its surface glowed with moving lights, swirling patterns that looked almost human, faces, memories, voices, all rising toward the stars. A deep vibration rolled through the Erebus. The ship's walls hummed like a living heart. Commander Elara Voss stood in the command deck, watching the impossible. The planet, once silent, was now building something. Energy levels increasing fast, said Wren, his voice shaky. Core readings off the charts. It's opening a gate. A gate? Mara frowned. To where? Wren's eyes widened as he read the data. To us. To Earth. Outside, the space above the planet twisted. Light bent, forming a massive ring, a doorway of blue fire. Through it, Elara could see fragments of another world. Blue skies, clouds, cities, Earth, Mara gasped. It's connecting our worlds together. Wren whispered, if it completes that link, the neural data could flood into Earth's systems, every human mind connected at once. The planet could merge with us. Elara's voice was calm, but her heart was pounding. We need to shut it down. But how? Mara said. Its power comes from the minds of the seventh. If we destroy it, we destroy them too. Elara stared at the glowing world below. Maybe that's what they want. Suddenly, the ship's comms came alive. A voice, soft, full of sadness, filled the air. Elara, you understand now. It was Captain Jonas Reed. His image appeared on the view screen, formed of light and static. We wanted to come home, but now home must come to us. Elara shook her head. Captain, if this gate opens, billions of lives will be at risk. You have to stop it. It's not the planet doing this, Reed said. It's us. Our minds are the bridge. We called to Earth. We wanted them to know what we became. His image flickered, pain showing in his eyes. But it's too much. Too many voices. Too much knowledge. If the connection completes, it won't just share our memories. It will rewrite them. Elara stepped closer to the screen. Then tell me how to stop it. Reed looked down. You can't, but you can end it. You must cut the link. Destroy the ship. Break the connection before the gate stabilizes. The crew fell silent. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Mara shook her head. Commander, if we destroy the ship, we die too. Elara nodded slowly. Yes, but if we don't, everyone else dies. Wren looked at her pale. There has to be another way. But Elara had already made her choice. She turned to the console and entered the ship's override codes. The self-destruct warning flashed across every screen. Mara grabbed her arm. Elara, wait! Elara met her eyes, calm and steady. We were the ones who came here. We woke it. Now we end it. The ship trembled as the countdown began. 5 minutes to detonation. The planet's light grew stronger, the gate widening. Through it, they could now see Earth clearly. Oceans, continents, clouds drifting across the sky. And faintly, through the static, they heard Earth's voice. Erebus, respond. The link is destabilizing. What are you doing? Elara smiled faintly. Finishing what they started. Wren worked quickly at the console. Commander, I can delay the countdown just long enough to upload the data from the seventh. Their final thoughts. Their truth. If Earth sees it, maybe they'll remember them as more than ghosts. Elara nodded. Do it. He connected the drives. Streams of light and sound filled the ship. Voices of the lost echoed through the halls. Laughter, fear, hope, pain, all blending into one haunting harmony. Mara's voice trembled. It's beautiful. Elara whispered, it's human. The countdown reached 1 minute. The planet below seemed to sense what was coming. Elara, said the voice again, will you end us? Elara placed her hand on the console. No, I'm ending the pain. Then we thank you. A single beam of light rose from the planet, reaching toward the Erebus. It wasn't an attack, it was A farewell, 30 seconds, the bridge filled with golden light. Wren pressed the final command. Data uploaded. The 7th will be remembered. Elara smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. Good work, Chief, Mara whispered. Commander, for what it's worth, it was an honor. Elara turned toward the window one last time. The gate above the planet flickered, unstable, chaotic. Beyond it, Earth shimmered like a dream. She whispered softly, for Earth. And for them. 10 seconds, Elara closed her eyes. The ship's engines roared. The countdown hit 0, and the Erebus exploded. A wave of light spread across the void, silent, blinding, and beautiful. The gate shattered, collapsing inward. The living planet cried out, then fell quiet. For the first time in centuries, the void was still. Weeks later, on Earth, strange transmissions began to appear in the global network. Images of faces, voices whispering through static. We remember you. We forgive you. No one knew where the signals came from. Scientists said it was leftover data from the Erebus, but some believed it was more, that somewhere, in the dark between stars, the 7th still lived, not as flesh, but as light, guiding, watching, remembering, and sometimes, on quiet nights, deep space satellites picked up a faint sound, a heartbeat, echoing in the void. It's alive.